Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, Opie celebrated their 8th wedding anniversary, but he discovered his wife's secret 2-year relationship through an email. The wife justified the affair as a business arrangement for financial gain. After a heated confrontation, the husband contacted the other man, revealing the truth and exposing the wife's lies about car troubles and needing money. Now let's get into the story. My wife, 38, and I, 40, celebrated our 8-year wedding anniversary. That was the last fond memory I have of us because after that, I became aware of her secret relationship. I wasn't very fond of social media or people, so I didn't have any accounts like that. I know it might be hard to believe. If it makes you feel better, I made one for the purpose of investigating my wife's activities. I got an email the week after our 8-year wedding anniversary that confirmed my wife's decision to move her phone number from our phone plan to AP's. It named the account her line was added to, which included AP's name. My vision started spinning. I joined Facebook and looked up his profile. It turned out he just celebrated a 2-year dating anniversary with my wife. I could not believe what I was looking at. It was like an alternate reality where my wife never met me. She had all this time and trust without me watching her. To leave our home and live a second life with this guy, I felt betrayed and worthless. I took screenshots of the profile and the confirmation email. I presented these to my wife when she arrived home from her sister's. So she said it was hard for her to speak because the proof was right in front of her. She was dating another man for 2 years, bragging about it on Facebook and convincing her family that he was the same man she told them she married. We just had an on-again, off-again relationship. It made no sense. She started sobbing and told me she seriously regretted it. But he was helping her pay back student loans and improve her credit, which would ultimately help us. I told her that didn't make up for her sleeping with him. I was screaming at this point. Almost 10 years of my life was wasted on her. She told me it was purely a business scheme to her, and she only considered him a friend. She said it wasn't her fault he took her so seriously and pronounced their love on Facebook. I told her she was blind and stupid if she couldn't admit she was taking advantage of this man and me. She was only looking out for herself and didn't care how either of us would feel if we knew the other existed. She looked ashamed, but she just asked me if this meant she had to leave. I told her to get out and called her a cheating pile of dirt. So she left, but she only walked the 20-minute walk to her dad's house. She didn't take her car, which sat in the driveway parked behind my car in the garage. She took her car keys and 2 bags of belongings with her. I tried calling her the next day when I realized she didn't drive but had her keys and she didn't answer. I tried over and over, but she only texted with, "You couldn't forgive me, so now you have to live without me no matter how hard it is." I only replied by asking why she left her car in my driveway. This is when it dawned on me that I hadn't contacted AP, even though I most definitely could. My wife was probably getting rides around town from him, and she just wanted me to be inconvenienced and slower to leave her because I couldn't drive anywhere. Well, I fixed that really quickly. I sent him proof of our marriage, anniversary, date, and everything and waited for things to happen. He freaked out and asked me if he could come to talk to me. I agreed. He came to my house and we spoke in the front yard. He said he was supposed to go get her from her dad's that very night, but he had no idea she was married. I told him he could have her if he wanted, but yes, she was a cheater and she would probably cheat on him too. As soon as she got bored or felt like getting new attention, I pointed out her car parked behind mine and he freaked out again. She was caught in another lie. He said she told him her car was being fixed and she needed a $1,000 from him for repairs. My jaw dropped. She was lying to him for money. I don't know why I was as surprised as I was. So AP helped me jack up her car and move it to a no parking zone. Then we coasted her. She was stuck at her dad's house with no response from either of us. She finally walked to my house to find that her car was missing, and she couldn't get inside because I took back her key. She banged on the door and cried. She yelled out questions like, why wouldn't I answer her? Where was her car? Why was this happening? And other things. I thought about calling the police, but her dad came by and told her to get in his car. She did, reluctantly. She eventually found her car in the possession of a towing company. She had to pay a ton of money to get it back, and her dad made her get a job at McDonald's to learn something about privilege and respect. She isn't happy, but I'm relieved. The divorce was easy, which was great because I was already going through enough emotionally. I know she has no dating life. With her dad hovering over her and on a part-time McDonald's income at 38 years old, I'm hoping men are spared the fate of courting her. Today's second story. In this story, Obi discovers his wife's affair with the school principal through explicit messages on her phone. After informing the principal's wife and exposing the affair, both spouses lose their jobs and face social consequences. He decides to end the marriage, citing the betrayal, and focuses on personal hobbies for healing. Despite initial challenges, he rebuilds his life, becomes a sought-after bachelor, and emphasizes that leaving a cheating spouse is not as daunting as it may seem. Now let's get into the story. My wife and I were married for 8 years. By the time all this happened, she was the 4th grade math teacher at the local middle school. The principal of the school worked with her for 9 years, and they were good friends. I always trusted them and believed their relationship was strictly professional. My wife was a teacher for so long, I never expected her to do anything to jeopardize her career. Maybe she didn't think anyone would ever find out what she was doing, but that's a stupid thing to believe. She forgot her phone one day while she was at work, and I found it in the couch cushions. Although I didn't expect to find anything interesting at all, I started snooping through her phone. I found messages from the principal to her that wouldn't have been very weird, but I only scrolled a little bit before the conversation took a naughty turn. She'd sent him a picture showing things that were only meant for my eyes. The picture was after he asked her if she was feeling hot for him. The part that broke my heart the most was when he mentioned how wonderful her body felt. The principal was a married man, which made it even more appalling. Their messages went back for a long time. I couldn't even determine when their message chain started. There was a lot of steamy talk that pissed me off so badly. I had enough reading and decided to call Mrs. Principal. She was really confused to hear from me, but I explained I was the husband of the 4th grade teacher at the school where her husband is the principal. She wanted to know why I was calling. This was the hard part. I stuttered and tried to find the words, but I eventually told her I found messages on my wife's phone from her husband. Then I added that the messages in line they had sexual relations. She gasped and started choking on her words while she asked me questions. Eventually, I just told her I would send her screenshots of the proof, her phone number. After she read through a lot of them, she told me she was going to call the vice principal and local superintendent. I braced myself. My wife was going to be in serious trouble in one day. She lost her career and husband. I felt bad for her and me, but I only felt bad for her. Because I cared about her deeply for a long time up to this point. Who knows how long she hid this from me? I know I certainly didn't deserve it. I remembered my mom convinced me to do a prenup before my wife and I got married, and now I was relieved. It just ensured I would get to keep the house. As soon as I thought about this, I got the first panic text from my wife. She said something weird was happening and she needed to call me in a few minutes. I didn't reply, but it took her 45 minutes to call me. She was crying and I could hear people talking in the background. She said she was called into the meeting room and fired for having too close of a relationship with the principal. I didn't respond too quickly because she wasn't being completely honest with me. I just asked if the principal was fired too, and she said yes. I asked her what kind of relationship they had, and she went silent. She finally asked me if I found her phone. After I said yes, lots of silence followed. That's when I was done playing dumb and told her I found all the messages between the two of them and that she needed to move out of the house today because it belongs to me. I told her that this was all her fault. She did this to us, and now she would have to live out the consequences in her life. She sobbed and told me she was so sorry, among other promises and anything she could say to try to keep me on the phone. She thought she could use the hook she had in my heart to convince me to stay. She was wrong. I was my own support in nirvana. I didn't need her to function or have a good life. I was not afraid of facing the challenge she hit me with. I didn't need to save her from suffering from the pain either. I had these thoughts as she was rambling over the phone. I told her to shut up and that she needed to come pack up her stuff. I also warned her that if anything was left behind when it was mine, and she wouldn't be allowed back in. I had really inspiring and supportive conversations with my friend at his house while my wife's world crumbled around her. Her and the principal were homeless and jobless. Now, his wife kicked him out of the house immediately, and he got fired from his job. The whole town knew about their affair, so they instantly gained a reputation as being homewreckers. Last I heard of them is that they both had to move out of state to avoid the aftermath of the disaster they had created. Not a day goes by where I reconsider my decision to leave my ex. The first few nights were hard, but I just absorbed my mind in the things I enjoy the most. My hobby is building model trains and miniature scenery. It is extremely fun and time-consuming. Before I realized it, I had become a sought-after bachelor in town and started dating. I'm still taking things slowly to heal mentally from what I've been through. But since the incident happened, I have experienced some casual relationships with women in my area. Overall, things have turned out pretty great, and I want people to know that leaving a cheating spouse is not as scary as it seems. Today's third story. In this story, after 2 years of dating, Opie discovers his girlfriend's secret double life of multiple affairs, using each job as an opportunity for cheating. Uncovering a hidden phone with incriminating evidence, he confronted her, leading to a dramatic breakup. The girlfriend admitted to her promiscuity and dependency on him for housing. After their split, she contracted an STD and became pregnant with another man. Grateful to have discovered the truth before proposing, the narrator is now cautious in new relationships. Now let's get into the story. We've been dating for 2 years and I, 27, was about to propose even though she, 26, seemed to have trouble keeping a job. I always said it was due to her free-spirited way of living. We always had good times together and made each other laugh. I felt like we belonged together, and she didn't seem to think any different. We moved in together after 1 year of dating, and she already had 8 different jobs. I forget where some of them were. They changed pretty fast, but at least she always got a new one. Well, that wasn't the only new thing she kept getting. My girlfriend's car always had a bunch of trash in it, usually empty, zero-sugar drink bottles. So one morning before she went to work, I cleaned it out for her. When I opened her glove box, there was a dead phone along with a charger. I brought it in and sat it on the table while I made breakfast. When she came downstairs and saw the phone, she completely froze and didn't say a word to me. I said I found it while I was cleaning her car and just wanted to know if we could give it to my nephew to play games on. Her voice was barely a whisper, but she cleared her throat and said she likes to keep a backup phone in case hers breaks because she's known for breaking phones. I accepted this, and even though I noticed her odd behavior, I didn't bring it up with her. As we ate, I decided I'd wait for another chance to find the phone and plug it in to search for anything fishy. She already had a working phone, so I genuinely believed this was a backup and wouldn't have anything interesting on it. Certainly nothing current. The next chance I got, I went into the glove box. The phone was gone. That was weird. She moved it so I wouldn't find it again. Her sister came over that night to hang out, and they stayed up late, so I pretended to go upstairs to sleep. I went to the top of the stairs, waiting to hear what they talked about. I felt silly, but at the same time, I knew she was going to say something about what was going on. I could feel a change in the air. It was 20 minutes before my wife said she needed to ask her something. I listened closely as she asked her sister if it was bad to have many boyfriends in a short span of time. Estes was confused and reminded her she'd been dating me for almost 2 years now, so she didn't need to be worried about this. My girlfriend hesitated but explained that for each job she's had while dating me, she's had an AP. I gasped but covered my mouth to hold in my screen. Her sister was shocked too. She asked how many that was and my girlfriend didn't even know. I felt like dying there by the steps, wondering what to do next. She went on to say that she couldn't help it. She just got so excited at the thought of sleeping with someone that wasn't expecting it. And each time after she slept with them a few times, she'd get bored and want to leave, but didn't feel like she could break up with them while keeping the job. Her sister asked why she stayed with me so long if this was what she liked doing. She said she needed a place to live because she was too old to live with her parents. I was furious. I didn't want to wait another minute to confront her. I then came in and told her to get out of my house immediately. She and her sister were scared. My girlfriend begged me to let her explain or give her a chance to start over and grow up. I told her I refused to be taken advantage of for even another second. Just before they left, I told her to get checked for STDs because she was disgusting. I got checked as well, and I'm so grateful. I used protection the whole time with her. We were not ready to have kids, that much was certain. Just 3 months after I left her, she was living with another unfortunate soul. When she found out she had an STD, she called to tell me, and I let her have it a little bit more. But that wasn't all the karma she had coming for her. She got pregnant with someone from her job at Subway. A sad, pathetic woman. I can't believe it took me so long to find out what she was doing. But I thank the stars I found out before proposing. I've started dating again, but I'm much more observant now. And I don't hide what I've been through, because that could be why I might come off as jealous or overprotective.